Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And it's always nice to see a big company try to set an example by being consumer friendly, especially in the game industry. Well, right now Xbox is leading the charge in trying to change the game industry for the better with their newest policy that should really benefit you, the consumer, by placing pressure back on the developers to maybe try and not take advantage of you, the consumer. So stick around and we will talk about that in just a moment. Also, it sounds like PlayStation will have another big event in August to counter the big Xbox Series X event that will air on July 23rd. So stay tuned for that as well, because you're not going to want to miss that. But before we get into all that, first let's go over some of the quick news, starting off with Deadly Premonition 2. While the big game releasing for the Nintendo Switch this month is Paper Mario Origami King, Deadly Premonition 2 is yet another high-profile release for the Nintendo Switch. I don't mean high-profile in that it got a major budget or that it will sell a ton of copies, but Deadly Premonition has become a bit of a cult classic, and Nintendo has featured this game in their directs in the past. So there are a lot of fans very excited about this sequel, but unfortunately reviews have come out and critics have not exactly been too kind to Deadly Premonition 2. As it currently stands, Deadly Premonition 2 has a 57 overall average score on Metacritic, which is pretty bad when it comes to gaming. From what I'm hearing, it does have a lot of bugs and there are major performance issues, but it does sound like the story and its characters are overall pretty solid. Not all reviewers agree with that, of course, but I think how the Video Game Chronicles summed up their review is a very well-made point. VGC noted that even though Deadly Premonition 2 is a buggy mess, fans will still love it. So there you go. I know it's discouraging seeing a franchise you love get low scores, but it does sound like if you like the first game, you will more than likely like the sequel. It may have some issues, but if you can look past that, then definitely go pick this game up on July 10th. And speaking of Nintendo, they announced possibly their best lineup for the Nintendo Switch Online service. Nintendo Switch Online does offer retro games to subscribers at no additional cost, but in the past, their lineups have received a bit of mixed reaction from the community, to say the very least. Now though, I can actually say that we got a great game here because they revealed Natsumi Championship Wrestling, The Immortal, and the big one, Donkey Kong Country. They will be making their way to Nintendo Switch Online on July 15th, and this is just my opinion, but I do think that Donkey Kong Country is one of the best 2D platformers of all time. I absolutely loved this game as a kid. Rare made this game back on the Super Nintendo in 1994, and when you look at the art style, that's almost hard to believe that this was on the Super Nintendo. I mean, truly, this game still holds up incredibly well, even today from a graphical standpoint. That just goes to show you the brilliant job with the art style by Rare in this game. And oh yeah, that's right, Donkey Kong Country was developed by Rare, which is now of course owned by Xbox. Nintendo fans used to love Rare games back for the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64, and to this day I hear Nintendo fans clamoring for more Rare games to come over to Nintendo, and while technically your wish just came true. For that matter, if you like the new Donkey Kong Country games, definitely go check this game out. I personally like the old ones better, even though the new ones are still great as well. Moving on though, we got 3 new game announcements to talk about, and I will try to make these quick. Ys Origin has officially been announced for the Nintendo Switch and will be available sometime in 2020. There is no definitive release date just yet, but with that said, Ys Origin is a really good action RPG. It is technically a prequel to the popular Ys franchise, and truly it's one of the better games in the franchise. The combat in this game is just excellent, with plenty of diversity in the gameplay thanks to multiple characters, and has really well made boss battles too. I also think that this is a great fit for the Switch, and I think it would be the perfect game to play in handheld mode. So yeah, yet another great game coming over to the Nintendo Switch in 2020. Also, a new test drive was surprisingly announced yesterday. Yeah, that's right, out of nowhere Test Drive Solar Crown made its debut in a teaser trailer. Yeah, unfortunately we don't yet have any gameplay to talk about, but at the same time, Test Drive is back, and I know there is some nostalgia for this franchise among fans, so if you're one of those fans, wait patiently for some new details on Test Drive Solar Crown. In the meantime, let's just enjoy the fact that this franchise is making a return. Lastly, Warhammer Chaos Bane has been confirmed to be coming to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. Of course, this will be a port of the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC title, and they haven't really given too much details on what this port means just yet, but I do assume that we will get enhanced graphics. Hopefully better frame rate, resolution, maybe some ray tracing, and other features like that. What I'm personally very curious about right now though, is will they upgrade Chaos Bane for free if you already own it on the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4? Or instead will they make you pay for a remastered version? This has been a big topic for really any game that releases before or after the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 launch. In fact, that leads me into my next topic, and that Xbox has reportedly been telling developers and publishers that they cannot charge consumers for upgrading their games through DLC. What this means is that let's say you bought a game for the Xbox One, and then suddenly that same game also releases on the Xbox Series X. Well, the developers cannot charge you extra money to upgrade that game just to have better graphics. Instead, Xbox is encouraging developers to upgrade their games for free, whether they use Xbox Smart Delivery or their own upgrade service. If you don't know what Smart Delivery is, it's basically if you buy an Xbox One game, if that game supports Smart Delivery, you will get the Xbox Series X superior version of said game at no extra cost. That means better graphics such as frame rate, textures, resolution, ray tracing, and whatever other features that the Xbox Series X version has, and you won't have to pay any extra money if you already own it on the Xbox One. That is extremely pro-consumer, and apparently it's also very easy to upgrade games by using Smart Delivery. Developers would not even need to put much extra work into upgrading their games, so there really is no excuse for publishers not to do this. We do know of some games that already support Smart Delivery, such as Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cyberpunk 2077, Yakuza 7, Destiny 2, as well as several others. So yeah, Xbox is really trying to do something to benefit the consumers, and here they are now taking an extra step by keeping individual developers from charging consumers extra money for these upgrades when they already bought the game in the Xbox ecosystem. With that said though, developers do still have the option of releasing games how they want, and if they want to sell two completely separate copies of the game, then by all means, they could still do that. As an example, NBA 2K21 does do this. If you were to buy NBA 2K21 on the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4, you would then have to completely rebuy the game on the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, because 2K Games does not offer any kind of upgrade option. Truthfully, that is just inexcusable by this point. I think in today's world, gamers are constantly having loot boxes, microtransactions, and other forms of cash grabs thrown in their face regardless of how much the original game cost. And by being forced to buy a game twice when there is better options for consumers, it just doesn't sit well with me. In past generations, we have seen games get sold twice to consumers, or even just how remasters are made today. I'm not talking about remakes, but just simple remasters that has a low amount of effort put into it. So I really do like the fact that Xbox is trying to do away with this type of stuff by putting pressure onto developers. Now, if developers do not support free upgrades, then we know without a doubt that was the developer's decision to disregard consumers to milk more money out of them. Sadly though, I'm sure several games will do just that, but I am glad to see Xbox take a stand here. They could have easily sat back and just let developers do this, because more games sold for Xbox means Xbox in return would make more money. So they did not have to do this, and in fact Sony themselves have confirmed they don't offer a smart delivery option, but it is what it is. Now speaking of Sony, I do have some good news for PlayStation fans, because a Eurogamer editor, Tom Phillips, is teasing a relatively big event for PlayStation in August. Sony themselves last month did confirm that they would have more PlayStation 5 updates in the next couple of months, so that's not new information, but we didn't really know if it was going to be big or small. Well now, Tom Phillips is stating that PlayStation smartly held back from announcing first-party and third-party games in the PlayStation 5 event last month, because they plan on countering Xbox's big July event. So it certainly does not sound like this is going to be a small PlayStation 5 event. We should expect some big games to be announced for the PlayStation 5 sometime in August if Tom Phillips is correct. This of course is not confirmed just yet, but it is very believable. As to what they could possibly announce, that Silent Hills game published by Sony has been highly rumored, and insider Dusk Golem does claim it exists, so maybe that could be announced there? That would be a pretty cool announcement. Silent Hills is one of the most popular horror franchises, and if they do right by that game, then it does have potential to be a big game. What I will be interested in though is, could Sony finally reveal the PlayStation 5 price and give us a release date? Fans are anxiously awaiting that price and release date, but at the same time, we do know that both Microsoft and Sony are playing a game of chicken with the price of their highly anticipated consoles. And for that matter, we are also now hearing that Xbox 2 is holding back announcements in the July event this month. Just yesterday, we were talking about the initiative and how they may announce their game later this year instead of July like it was originally reported. So right now, it's being reported that Sony will have another PlayStation 5 event in August, and then Xbox will have their own event after that to counter PlayStation's counter. So, I mean, we are seeing a lot of back and forth between the two here. Personally, I would love it if both just came out and talked about everything, but hopefully we finally get the price of each console next month. I still do think that both the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 will be around $500. Then the digital PlayStation 5 will likely be $450, and who knows about Xbox Lockhart. That thing may come in around $300 based off of rumors, but hopefully we won't have to wait for too much longer. Either way, it looks like August is going to be a big month for gaming, and I'm very excited to see what both Xbox and PlayStation has in store for us. They apparently will be coming back next month with some great events. I don't know if they will be as big as their first events, but still something to be excited for at the very least. I will ask you though, what would you like to see PlayStation announce next month at their event? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Peace out.